Hello YouTube, it's Yannick here with Hobbies of Man once again, and today we are doing another manga review. Today we're actually going to be reviewing some more One Piece. Now, I am reading Water 7 right now, so we're only going to be doing the first half of Water 7 because I think the whole thing is like 140 chapters, and so I thought that it was a little too long for one single video. I would end up with like an hour-long video, so I don't really want to do that. And also because I didn't manage my time correctly this week. I didn't get enough time to read much. So I only got through half of Water 7. So we're going to discuss that today. And I'm not going to really bother with introducing One Piece and stuff. Everyone knows it's written by Ichiro Oda. Everyone knows it's shonen. And everyone knows it's a pirate fantasy adventure. So I don't really have to reiterate any of that, right? So yeah, let's just get into it. I only read the first two arcs in the Water 7 saga, which are Long Ring, Long Land, and Water 7 itself. So we'll talk about those two, and yeah, let's get into it. The premise of this arc is basically that coming out of Skypiea, right? Yeah, I think so. The Mary Go is super messed up. She's hanging on by a thread, and they need to go get her fixed because, you know, she's got issues. So they gotta go to a special place called Water 7, which is this kind of Venice-esque kind of city that is in an island, because that's where the best shipwrights are. And they get there, and of course they get embroiled in these shenanigans, and in this case it's actually with the government and not with a different band of pirates, right? However, of course, before that, they actually end up on another island called Long Ring, Long Land, or something like that. I don't actually know what the name of the island is, but that's like the arc. And they get kind of tricked into doing a Davy Back fight, which is a kind of pirate competition. And that's basically the premise. Eventually, they kind of end up having to deal with some government agencies that they weren't prepared for. So yeah, that's the premise here. The plot line is actually really, really good. However, I do think I found out that, you know, sometimes One Piece has arcs that are not good. And in this case, Long Ring, Long Land is probably the worst arc in One Piece that I've read so far. And it's not really the worst thing because the plot is bad necessarily. I think that the plot itself is pretty kind of average. It's not horrible. However, the kind of situations that cause the plot and the characters that are involved in the plot, I really disliked. So basically what happens in Long Ring, Long Land is that Luffy and crew end up on this little island. It's this kind of weird island that is a circle, and every year or so, the water goes down, and then people go from one peak of the island to the next peak of the island, some kind of nomadic kind of situation, and they find this one guy that is trapped there, right? And they try to help him, but along the way they get roped into this thing called the Davy Back fight with these pirates called the Foxy Pirates, led by Foxy the Silver Fox, I think is his name. And I really dislike the Foxy Pirates. I don't know why, they just sound so shitty. Like, I guess they're average pirates, but the fact that they're like not very good people, they're annoying, and they're not very funny, even though they're supposed to be this comedic kind of element, it just kind of really grinded my gears, and I really dislike them because they weren't really like there was no way for Luffy and crew to win if they're being so kind of like so easily, what's it called, like tricked, right? And so this kind of like odds that are insurmountable but are not kind of like directly related to the way that characters can actually, you know, do something was kind of annoying. And I don't know, I just didn't like Foxy. Like, the character was bad, and the pirates were bad, so I really just didn't enjoy it. But the end of that arc was really good. When Aokiji shows up, one of the admirals shows up, that was really, really badass. The last 3 chapters of the arc were really good. But generally, Long Ring, Long Land was not very fun. I didn't really like it. I feel like it was really weak because Foxy didn't really mean anything in terms of like how he affected Luffy or how he reflected some aspect of the situation of Luffy and the crew, right? Usually the bad guys in the arcs kind of reference some aspect of Luffy or kind of show some kind of thing that needs to grow, right? Like Arlong shows that teamwork is important, and Boogie the Clown shows that you need to be smart to beat other Devil Fruit users, and what's it called? Crocodile is in direct opposition to Luffy, where he wants control. Luffy thrives in chaos, and Enel was kind of like this situation about dreams being so powerful that they become something that corrupts you, and that Luffy and the crew have a dream, and then maybe they might be corrupted by it. But Foxy didn't really provide any kind of meaningful context to Luffy and the crew, so I really didn't like him because he felt like a waste of a villain. But that's enough about the plot line here of Long Ring Long Land. Let's get into Water 7. Now, Water 7 was a really, really good arc, or chapter in the story, which is an arc. And I really, really loved it. I thought it was really, really good. I liked the initial kind of getting to Water 7. I thought it was really cool. There was a lot of really awesome world building there with the development of the Sea Train, the Bustling Tom, or Smoking Tom, or whatever it's called. And I also really liked that, the crew finally gets to do something kind of a little bit more fun, a little bit of downtime. But there's this kind of undercurrent of pressure because they have to get the merry-go fixed, right? But there's something wrong, and the merry-go can't be fixed. And the shipwright guys kind of are doing their job and are trying to, make sure that Luffy and crew don't get hurt. But in order to do that, they have to emotionally hurt them. And this causes a lot of friction within the Straw Hats. And, it was really, really good. Like, just the emotional trauma caused by having to get rid of a crewmate, basically, in this case, the merry-go, causes so much fracturing in the crew, and it shows Luffy really cares about his friends, and we know this, but like we've never had to see him deal with the fact that sometimes he has to care for them in a way that they don't want to be cared for, right? In this case, getting rid of the merry-go. And this causes, Usopp to get mad at him. And Usopp leaves the crew. And, oh my god, I don't really... Like, Usopp is by no means my favorite character. But this arc really made me appreciate Usopp. And really kind of shined a light on who Usopp is and what he kind of does. And I thought it was really, really amazing. I really liked it. I also really loved the political plot line that was kind of happening here with Tom, Frankie, and Mr. Iceberg. I thought it was really interesting. I really enjoyed the fact that there's this secret organization called the CP9, Centerpole 9, and that they're basically like the good guys, but in such a stringent kind of shitty way that they actually end up being worse than the bad guys, which are pirates. And I don't know, I thought it was really, really amazing. The assassination plot was really good. The kind of way in which the crew is even more devastated by the fact that one of their crew members is part of this plot, and the fact that they know that something's wrong. They understand that Robin wouldn't really do this even if they've only known for a little bit, which just shows how much the Straw Hats are close together. And I don't know, it was just amazing. I really love the emotional beats that happened in this arc. I thought they were really, really good, really amazing. I don't know, just everything about it was really good. The fight between Usopp and Luffy was really great. Not because the fight itself was amazing. I mean, it was pretty, low effort. I mean, Luffy doesn't really have to do anything to beat Usopp. But just the emotional turmoil of Luffy having to beat the shit out of his buddy sucks, man. Like, shit. It hurt. It was really, really good. And I don't know, it really brought a lot of attention to Usopp that I think I hadn't really paid attention to before. And overall, just really, really great stuff. I also really love the kind of plot line of the background of Mr. Iceberg and Frankie, or Cuddy Flan, whatever his name is, and Tom, and how that helped Water 7. Just everything about this arc was really, really good, which is really great because Foxy's Pirates, or whatever that arc is called, Long Ring Long Land, was really bad in comparison. And I was happy that, Eiichiro Oda got back on his good shit, on his like very comfortable, like badass One Piece zone, and managed to churn out this badass, really awesome arc, right? So yeah, that's it for the plot line. I really touched on a lot of things, but that's it for that. In terms of characters, I found that there's a lot of interesting characters introduced. All of the people in CP9 were so interesting, like visually, but I really only cared about 2 or 3 of them. The 3 of them that worked with Mr. Iceberg were really, really interesting. I liked the long-nosed guy. I can't remember his name. He kind of reminds me of Pinocchio in a way that Usopp does as well. I thought he was really interesting. I really liked his design. I'm pretty sure during one of the scenes in the train, he's literally just wearing like an Adidas tracksuit, and I thought that was really funny. I don't know why. I just thought it was like a funny kind of joke. I don't think Oda meant it like that. I think he was just supposed to be some runner dude, but like, I don't know, it was just funny. It was cool. Like, I liked it. Khalifa was a really interesting character as well. I liked her a lot. I really liked her like secretary kind of lady thing when she was with Mr. Iceberg, but I also really liked her really badass femme fatale kind of vibe when she was part of CP9. I thought that was really cool. And Lucci or Luki or whatever his name is, like the guy with the bird, was badass. He had such a cool presence. He was very interesting. I really liked him. He was like a very badass kind of like Italian mobster kind of guy, and I liked that a lot. I thought it was cool. I really liked when he was wearing his big coat over just his shoulders. He just looked so intimidating, so badass. I didn't really care much for Blueno. I didn't think he was any kind of special thing. He was just kind of there. But he was cool. He had these kind of like horns that I thought was really awesome. But yeah, overall, like CP9 was really interesting. Spandam, the guy in charge of CP9, was kind of shitty. I didn't really like him. He kind of is like the worst of like political military type of people. He's just like shitty. He thinks he's right just because he's in charge. And I really don't like characters like that. But I think that it's a really meaningful kind of situation to kind of put when, your main characters are pirates and they're going against people that are supposed to be keeping the peace and justice, right? So it's really interesting that they kind of make the people in charge way worse than the pirates. I thought that was really kind of interesting there. Tom and Mr. Iceberg and Frankie were really interesting. So I didn't really know too much about Frankie, but I had seen Frankie around, right, when just looking up things for One Piece. And I always found him to be kind of weird. Like, I didn't understand how he fit into the crew, and I thought he was really wacky, but I actually really liked this story once it was explained to me, and kind of seeing where he came from and what was happening with him and stuff like that. That was really cool. I really enjoyed that he was a cyborg. However, it kind of gave me a lot of whiplash early on. I was like, everything about this series is very clearly fantasy in like the 1800s kind of setting, which is like more technological than most fantasy, but it's still pretty far back behind. And having like robot shit happening with Frankie, even if it was like 1800s-esque, was really weird. And I didn't really understand how it worked. But once I got used to it, it was like easy to kind of deal with. And I was like, okay, that's fine. It's not really that big of a deal. It was just kind of a kind of a weird shock at the beginning. But I really like Frankie. I think he's a really interesting character. His kind of shenanigans are a little funky. But, I mean, everyone in the crew has weird shenanigans going on, so it's not that big of a deal. But his cyborgness is really interesting, and I actually really like his background story, like I said, and his facial features are really interesting. I really like the very painted on eyebrows that he has on his face. I think they're very striking. I don't know why I noticed that, but I thought it was really interesting. And yeah, what other characters are introduced? Miss Kokoro, I didn't really care too much about her, but she was interesting. It was nice that she was introduced early on, and then she came back in a flashback, and I was really confused about who she was until like at the end I was like, oh, they're the same person. So I thought that was pretty funny. And yeah, characters wise, there's a lot of good characters, a lot of interesting stuff. The Gali Law Company in general was really cool. And Frankie's boys, or Frankie family, or whatever, were pretty funny. I really liked the Square sisters, or whatever they're called, like Kiwi and Mozu. I thought they were really cute looking. It was really funny that their hair was like literally just like televisions pasted on their head. I thought that was really funny. But I don't know. Generally, I thought the characters were really good. What else is there? I think we get to see Doflamingo show up at one point, and we get to mention of Luffy's grandfather, who apparently, well, I won't say it because it might be a spoiler for later on, but he did show up once before. I just didn't know that he was Luffy's grandfather until someone told me on Twitter. But I don't really mind about spoilers personally, so I didn't really care. But I'm not gonna mention who it is just in case someone's watching this and hasn't read up to this point. So yeah. What else? What else is there? Well, I already talked about Aokichi. I thought he was really interesting. I want to meet Akainu and the other guy. I can't remember his name. But good stuff with the characters. In terms of world building, I thought that was really the most interesting part of this this arc, besides the emotional distress that happened in Water 7. The Davy Bag fight conceptually was really interesting. I just didn't like Foxy and his pirates. I thought they were shitty. But the idea is really interesting. You know, it's a pirate competition, and of course it's going to be full of bullshit because it's pirates and they're not like honest men. That makes sense. The idea of stealing a crew out of like right under someone else's basically like face is really interesting. But obviously this is not going to be something that ever happens again, because Luffy really isn't going to be the type to steal people's crew members like that, because nakama and friendship and camaraderie is something that Luffy really cares about, right? So I thought it was an interesting kind of way of setting up some possible danger for Luffy and his crew, but just the way it was handled was not the best. Other than that, I think Water 7 really had a lot of interesting stuff going on for it. So the introduction of Pluton and the giant warship that Tom created was interesting. The fact that Tom was the guy that made the ship for Goldie Roger was really cool. And of course, Mr. Iceberg and Galala are probably going to end up building Luffy's new ship. So it's going to be like Goldie Roger had a ship made by this guy, and Luffy has a ship made by his kind of what's it called, apprentices. So Luffy is basically like the Pirate King, right? There's a kind of parallel there. I thought was really cool. The introduction of the CP9 was really, really badass. I really liked that. It was kind of like MI6, FBI, CIA, kind of like Mission Impossible type of group, which I thought was really cool. The introduction of the Six Powers was really interesting as well. I don't know if that has to do anything with the later introduction of Hockey. I don't know too much about it, but I know that Mantra has stuff to do with it, and I'm guessing Six Powers does as well, because it sounds kind of similar. And I'm looking forward to seeing if that's true or not. But I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that was introduced here that I thought was really good. Tom's whole backstory was great. Robin's backstory was really interesting as well. Just the fact that she's a single survivor of this full buster thing, and that she's afraid, and how that turns into a character moment for her was really, really good. But yeah, just there's a lot of cool stuff here that I thought was really interesting. I wish we could have gotten more about Frankie. Like, how did he end up being a cyborg? I guess that's going to be explored later, but for now, that's kind of really the most interesting aspect to me. Like, are there a lot of people that are cyborgs, or is it just Frankie? You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of curious to see how that goes. But I think that's it for the world building. I feel like there's a lot more that I just kind of glossed over, but I'm doing this off the top of my head, so sometimes I'm not going to remember stuff. Yeah. What else? In terms of artwork, a lot of good stuff. I gotta say, I'm still kind of a little bit confused about the fight sometimes. Like the way Eiichiro Oda kind of demonstrates action sometimes is a little bit confusing for me. The blocking of the shapes of the characters is a little bit difficult to follow sometimes, and the way the text flows sometimes really messes with me. But it's not necessarily like Oda's fault. Like I think I just still don't understand how to read his action, and this obviously has to do with the fact that I read a bit of One Piece and then I forget about it for months and then I come back to it, and so I never get into the habit of understanding how the flow of the fight goes, and so that's kind of on me. But I do want to mention that, you know, there's a certain element of kind of difficulty with understanding the way Oda panels and blocks out his fights. Other than that, I think it's interesting to note that a lot of the female characters look really similar. Khalifa is very similar to Nami. There's a lot of secondary characters that show up just once or twice in that also look like Nami. I thought Moso and Kiwi were an interesting kind of deviation from the standard, like, big-chested, kind of thin-waisted kind of character. But mostly just because their hair made them so, like, visually striking compared to all the other female characters, but their body types are more or less the same. Miss Kokoro, I think, is like one of the few female characters that doesn't have that same kind of Eiichiro Oda kind of body type. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really care that female characters look similar. I just wanted to point it out because I thought it was interesting. I don't really mind. I think he's getting better at drawing female characters. A lot of them have this kind of like very attractive vibe to them, even if they're like not put in a fan servicey position. I thought that was interesting. I also found it funny that some people were talking about how Nami's boobies are growing a lot every arc. And I thought that was funny that people noticed that enough to ask him about it. I don't really understand why that happened. I think it was because there was a certain way she was portrayed in the anime, and Eiichiro Oda had to kind of like fit the anime and his manga style to be like the same, and so he had to shift how he drew Nami. But I'm not really sure that that's true. So if you guys know why, just let me know down in the comments. Probably it's just because he felt like it, and that's fine. But I'm pretty sure there was like a specific reason for why that happened. But yeah, fan service wise, there really wasn't much this chapter. I mean, I think there was a few moments that were kind of fan servicey, especially in the chapter pages where Eiichiro Oda tells different stories. I think one of them was like a bath scene or something like that. But generally, I didn't really find that there was a lot of fan service. There's not really that many female characters in these two arcs to have fan service for, besides Nami and Robin. And of course, they're always really attractive and always kind of put in fan servicey positions anyways, so it doesn't really make much of a difference. But yeah, in terms of rating, this would be, so far, Water 7 is like a 4 out of 5. Long Ring, Long Land definitely messed it up for me. But Water 7, like the arc itself, is probably one of my top arcs. Right behind the Alabasta arc and probably Arlong Park. So like my top 3 would be Alabasta, Water 7, and then Arlong Park. And I don't know about after that, probably Skypiea or like Sky Island, whatever it's called, or Yaja, maybe. I kind of really like that one in retrospect. I don't know, but definitely it's in the top 3 arcs right now. But Long Ring, Long Land is definitely at the fucking bottom. I hated that arc so much. I'm just kind of triggered. I don't know. I just didn't like it. But overall, I'm pretty happy with this, and I can't wait to finish reading it. I'll probably end up also taking on the next saga after this month as well, since it's only like 50 chapters. I'm not really sure, but I'm really excited to finish up Water 7, which I think is just Ennis Lobby, and I've heard a lot of good things about that arc, so I'm really excited about that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought down below, and let me know if I missed anything, or if there was something that I didn't catch, or if you disagree with me and you think that Long Ring, Long Land is a great arc and that I'm stupid for not liking it. I don't know. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't like that arc, but let me know down in the comments. And yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.